Yeah. And I guess there's certain thresholds, right? And I think one of the big thresholds is procedures, right? If a procedure was to be taking place in a certain room, all of a sudden you have these different boxes you have to check. But I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, like primary care, typical use of primary care without procedures usually keeps them under that threshold where
Absolutely.
it's really
Yep. You're not an AHCA facility unless you have, surgery centers in there and the class A, B, and C. So it's much different. A lot changes with that little checkbox there.
Right.
If you're not going to be licensed by AHCA, there's a different set of standards. You still have all of the building code requirements, the fire safety regulations, and the safety standards that are not required by building code or a governing body like AHCA for on the design side.
Right.
But the provider still has to,
Yep.
like the HIPAA regulations and patient safety, risk assessment. So they still, and infection control, they have those elements even in a non-AHCA facility. How do you take care of your biohazard waste?
Right.
Certain doctors don't think about that. Like if you ask a provider, the provider might not know that because that's not what they see. The staff takes care of that, right? So usually from a program requirement, those items are missing, especially like when you were asking for some facilities that don't have the experience. If you have a new provider that wants to start up a practice and doesn't have the history or a facilities department behind them, we have to help them assist. Hey, you're going to need a janitor closet. You're going to need a biohazard closet. You're going to need an IT closet. You're going to need an alcove to store wheelchair.
Right.
Just small things that, don't go by them as like they go with us because we've in and out. That's our profession. We are in and out of those things every day. So that part, like John was saying, how do we use those design challenges and not let the end user feel there were design challenges? We disguise them and so that it gets hidden in the design. You don't realize. And that's one of those best design is where you don't see any of that struggle happening, right? Where it falls into place and it looks right.
Yeah. Like to your point, the separators or the dividers on the reception, making them
But I think everybody has been to a facility where you walk in and there's never a good space for the wheelchairs.
Yes.
They seem like an imposition, and it almost feels like, well, I have a visible wheelchair because I have to, and again, it feels like it's in a way that they're checking the box. But if I go to a facility that allows for wheelchair access in and out and proper storage, where it's not glaring at me, I don't have to be challenged or intimidated by staring at a wheelchair. But if somebody needs it, it's
there.
right
It's
there.
there.
So you just don't notice it, and I don't get distracted by it. But it's they're very, very, very small nuances, but they do make, when you combine all of them together, they really start to make a difference.
And it doesn't clutter your hallways then, so you're not blocking your fire exits. You're still not letting the patient coming in feel like, oh my God, that's a cluttered space, So again, it's subtle cues. It's not really one thing that you do, and it's not, it's just a well-planned facility when you think about all the minor details.
Right. Combination of everything involved, kind of, and a lot of it is, seemingly unseen by the doctors, felt when it's not there, but unseen.
Yes, absolutely. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And, the one thing that comes with some of these implications is the cost that often doctors don't, or these providers don't think about when they're, looking at all the things that they want to add to the clinic and all these implications that they don't even know. It's them just like, yeah, can we turn this room into can we add an exam room here? Well, or, can we turn this into some different part of the space without realizing all the things that will go into, and that's what we get Swap on the phone or John on the phone with them. We're quickly realizing that, hey, there's different things you got to account for.
Yeah.